Hey YouTube, Brian here, this time back with a Maliss combo tutorial for Post-Banlist. If you guys have watched my deck profile, this video is not going to be as detailed as some of my previous combo guides, just because a lot of these combos are things that you should already be familiar with. But just to kind of give everybody an idea out there of like how we are changing up our combos in order to adapt to the ban list. We're gonna first start by showing, of course, all of the one-card combos. So here's the one-card combo with Dormouse, and obviously, you know, Dormouse is limited now, so you will open her less often, but that doesn't mean that you won't have her, and when you do have her, you want to make the most use of her as you can, because obviously Dormouse is still our best starter. So a lot of this is still the same. You'll notice that without Splash Mage, we are going the SP Banish Red Ransom line, as we did in the past, because now we don't have Splash Mage to lock ourselves. So we want to go the SP Red Ransom line so that we have a little bit of insulation against Nib, because if you've watched my previous videos, you know that if you chain SP Banish yourself in Red Ransom, that is still a very strong setup on your opponent's turn, even if your opponent does Nib you. But here, it's honestly pretty standard. Since we are playing TB11 now, that gives us an additional body, which lets us make the Wicked here, and that lets us get access to backup, and then backup get this Wizard. And then we're gonna link for Cryptor, use Wizard to summon 2, and then go for the Allied Code Talker here. So this is going to be pretty much your standard end board now, I would say. It's just Allied Code pointing to 2 monsters. You could go for a different line if you wanted to be greedy and go with like Firewall, but usually I like to be a bit more conservative and I like to get Cryptor into rotation as soon as possible. Now, something that I did forget to work into this combo is you should actually link this Wizard or this March Hare into a copy of Linkaribo before you make your Allied Code Talker. And the reason for that is having a Linkaribo in your graveyard makes it so that it is incredibly difficult for your opponent to stop Allied Code, because something that will happen is, let's say your opponent activates something that you really want to negate with Allied Code. Let's say like a Pot of Extravagance or something. So then you use Allied Code effect, you tribute your White Binder, and then your opponent chains like Forbidden Droplet, and then they Forbidden Droplet send their Pot of Extravagance, and now they're gonna not only negate your Allied Code, but their Pot of Extravagance is also gonna resolve. However, if you put Linkaribo in your graveyard, that basically lets you dodge any kind of targeted negation on your Allied Code. Or sorry, not targeted, because obviously Droplet doesn't target, but any kind of negation on your Allied Code, because Linkaribo can just tribute your Allied Code to summon itself from the graveyard, so you can tribute an Ad Ignister monster, summon from the extra deck, and just summon the Linkaribo. So again, very important that you just make a Linkaribo sometime before you summon Allied Code. If you had to start your combo by making Linkaribo, then you're good. You don't really have to, consciously think about it. But if you didn't start your combo by making a Linkaribo, then I would just weave one in before the end of the combo. Alright, and here is the one-card Rabbit combo. So obviously, as I mentioned, we're playing the TB11, so that Rabbit is now actually a one-card combo. And unfortunately, with Rabbit, you cannot play around Nibiru, since this Dormouse summon would be summon 5 here. So we're assuming that if you get to this point, that your opponent would have nibbed you anyway. So if you, you're just gonna have to hope that that your opponent doesn't have the nib. Or and also like I said, like your one-card combos are actually very rarely going to be what you actually go for. There are so many extenders in your deck that you will almost always be going for a 2 or 3 card combo. But here you can see that a lot of it is pretty much the same as your Dormouse combo. It's just this combo is less nib safe. That is pretty much the difference. Oh, and since we were able to be a bit greedier, since we just disregarded nib, we end our turn with a March Hare in hand with this combo. But that's like kind of the upsides and downsides, right? It's like, you have less protection against nib, but you do end on a stronger board since we are able to just go greedy. And again, same thing, make sure you make a Linkaribo before you link for your Allied Code. So Mouse and Rabbit, I think, are fairly intuitive and not too hard to figure out. But I did want to talk about how the ban list has changed our Underground and Gold Sark lines. So one very big change is that because Splash Mage is banned, right here, when we have our Mouse and our White Rabbit, it's there's no way for us to profitably convert these two into a Link 3, since, of course, we've already used both of the banish effects. So if we go into Lizard, we aren't able to generate a third body, and there's like really no other way to get to a Link 3 without having to use our TB11 right now, which obviously is not the most efficient use of TB11, right? So unfortunately, with after Splash Mage got banned, Underground and Gold Sark lines got a lot weaker if they are the only cards you have. And in this combo, I'm just showing what you can do with one singular Underground, but if you have any normal summonable monster, your Underground and Gold Sark combos get a lot better, which I'll show in a second here. But for just Underground, what you have to do here, if you want to put up any kind of board, is you have to use your TB11 and banish your White Rabbit. I would not banish your Dormouse here, because Dormouse is limited now. If Dormouse gets stuck in the banish zone, it can actually get pretty awkward sometimes, because ideally you want Dormouse to be in your deck or in the graveyard, so that on like a follow-up turn you can just banish the Dormouse with a March Hare, for instance, and get her into rotation that way. But if your Dormouse is stuck banished, then you need to be able to make Cryptor so that you can recycle your Dormouse at some point. Otherwise, you're just going to be short on a name to banish for like the rest of the game. And you never know what might happen. Your opponent might have something to stop your Cryptor. Even though Cryptor is hard to stop, it's possible for them to stop her. And if you aren't able to recycle your Dormouse, that could put you in a bad spot. Yeah, so I would just banish the White Rabbit here, since we do have 2 copies of Rabbit, so you can afford to banish one and then just use the second one from your deck when you need to. But using the TB11 to summon the cat lets us make the Lizard and banish the cat so that we can get another body, and then that lets us go into our Maliss Link 3. Now here, you really only have 2 options, is to make Ransom and search Mirror and pass, or you can make Binder and set MTP07 and pass. And the reason I go for the Mirror here instead of the Binder is the Mirror still represents MTP07 on our opponent's turn, because, I mean, you guys should know this this compromise very well in case you get Fualost, because whenever I get Fualost, this is usually what I go for. I just make Ransom, search Mirror, and pass, and then have some number of hand traps and interruption in my hand or set on the field. And so, yeah, when you mirror your opponent on their turn, you banish your Red Ransom. Red Ransom is going to banish a second copy of White Rabbit from your deck. You're going to summon both. Ransom is going to search you an Underground for follow-up, and Rabbit is going to set your MTP from the deck. MTP can then be flipped that turn by banishing your Rabbit for cost in order to still banish something of your opponent. So if you go for the Binder here, you only get the MTP banish, but if you go for the Red Ransom, you get the Malice in the Mirror negate, and then also still get your MTP07. And then, of course, Ransom will get you your follow-up as well, so it searches you an additional Underground. But this is really all you can do if Underground or Gold Sark is like the only card in your hand, and like you have no other normal summonable monsters. You would have to go for this line. However, if you do have any normal summonable monster, the line actually becomes way better. And so right here, you'll see that we're going to start, same as last time, we're going to banish Dormouse. Dormouse is going to banish Rabbit. Rabbit is going to summon, and Rabbit is going to set TB11. However, here we're going to leverage the normal summon that we weren't able to use in the last combo and go ahead and make our Red Ransom here. So we're going to then flip our TB11 to banish our Ransom to summon Cat from the deck, and then Ransom is going to summon and add a March Hare. So in this position, because you had the additional body, you were able to get into your Link 3 without having to essentially waste your TB11 just to get the third body online. So that allows us to make the Wicked here, and then Wicked can banish our Chessie Cat to search for backup. Chessie will summon, and we can even use Chessie to banish our Malice in the Mirror so that we can add a March Hare for our opponent's turn. In this combo, I accidentally banished the Dormouse, but as I mentioned before, you really would like your Dormouse to stay engraved so that it doesn't get put out of rotation in case anything were to happen to like your Cryptor shuffle back. So I would just banish like your White Rabbit instead. But the White Binder here is going to set your 07, and then you can go ahead and summon your backup search for a Wizard, and then link into your Cryptor here. Yeah, then you can use your Wizard, summon 2 of course, and go for your Allied, and then you end on basically your pretty normal standard combo as long as you have any normal summonable monster alongside of your underground. So the last pseudo 1-card combo we have here is the 1-card combo with backup, but obviously, as I mentioned, you do need a hand trap or any Cyberse monster to normal summon in order to make this combo work. Unfortunately, it's not nib safe because, again, this Dormouse is your 5th summon, but yeah, like this combo is also a bit weaker than your other combos because you have to use your backup search to search Dormouse instead of Wizard, so you don't have Wizard as an additional extender option in this combo. So as you'll see here, we had to leverage the mirror to banish our white binder and go grab a copy of March Hare. But here we're gonna have to use the March Hare, and then I use the TB11 here to banish March Hare just so I can add it back to my hand. That way I can actually have it for my opponent's turn, and then I'll link 3 into our copy of Cryptor. And this is actually as far as we can go because, like I said, we don't have the Wizard to extend, so you'll just end on Cryptor MTP07 pass. Now, what you could do if you already had a March Hare in hand, so you didn't really need to add the March Hare back, is you can just link March Hare, White Binder, Wicked into Cryptor, then flip your TB11 by banishing Cryptor instead, and then summon like another cat from the deck or something, and then your Cryptor will summon herself back, and you can link your Cryptor in your cat into a Bomb Dragon, or you can link it into a Firewall Dragon. It does give you an additional piece of interruption, but if you don't have if you don't have another March Hare in your hand, I would recommend just probably adding the March Hare back just as a little bit of like added security, because you never know if like your MTP07 is going to get ashed or something.